Hey everybody, it's Mandy from Chapel Forge. I haven't done a life update video in a while. I try to do one of these like every few months, just sort of update you on just different things. Typically our videos are about food preservation or food prep or food storage. Sometimes things about our animals, because obviously that directly relates to the food that we're storing. But I'd just like to give you a general update once in a while, let you know what's happening. So this is what's going on. Obviously, it's a busy time of year. It's spring. You know, we have our grow lights going over here. I don't have my garden set up yet, and this weekend is Mother's Day. We had rain, like I think a lot of the East Coast had, for just like weeks on end, it felt like. And where my garden was going, was just constantly in a state of flood. So Zad and Matt got it pretty well level. Matt is gone he just got back from a month hike. So he hiked in Georgia into Tennessee, I believe. He got back, he's working for 2 weeks off-site, and then he should be back for a while. So Zad's probably just gonna wait to put the beds up until he gets home, because then he'll have his help. Matt is really good at construction type things, far better than me, so it'll just be a lot easier. And frankly, my plants are fine for an extra 2 weeks in the house. I'm not super worried about it. So when he gets back from his hike, we'll be getting the garden set up. Of course, I'll be bringing you a video on that and kind of showing you what the setup is going to look like here. So if you've been following us for a while, you know that at the old house we used, I guess you would call it, it's kind of like a hoop house. And that was what we used to brooder turkeys and raise them, move them around the yard. I want to use it as a greenhouse here. So we'll be setting the greenhouse up, setting up the raised bed garden. We pretty much have all the supplies we need except for the cover for the greenhouse, because taking it off and then putting it back on is just, I mean, like when we moved, we had to take the cover off. And so we just need to get a new cover, and then I need dirt for the beds, and I'll be ready to rock. So as soon as they get those up, I already know where I'm getting dirt. We'll probably just wind up getting like a triaxle dump truck load like we did at the other house, and that'll work out perfectly. So I have that coming down the pike once Matt gets back. As far as Bud goes, so if you're new, Matt is our farmhand, apprentice, live-in, whatever you want to call him. He's 31, I think. And he's just been a huge help to us. He's lived with us now for a year. He moved into this house literally the same time that we did. He kind of needed somewhere to go, and we were happy to have him. He had been blacksmith apprenticing with Zad for probably almost a year at that point. So we really trusted him. Our kids love him. And he's just been an amazing help. He has different skill sets than we do. He did a lot with helping us prune the fruit trees that were here, because they had clearly not had any love for quite a while. He got our berry patches set up. So it's been really awesome to have him. And it's great for Zad because I can do a lot of things, but I'm 20 weeks pregnant, so there's a lot of things that I can't do right now, or slash I'm tired or whatever. And Bud can do a lot too, but he's only 14. So it's nice to just have another man around that can help with heavy lifting, you know, building type projects that frankly just don't really interest me that much. I'll help if I need to, but construction's not really my forte, and I get really bored really fast. So as far as what Bud is up to, Bud is 14. So if you are new here again, Bud, we unschool him. So we've homeschooled for the whole time. He's never gone to public school. He did go to like a Christian preschool, like a church preschool when he was like 2 and 3, maybe 4, I can't remember. And then we did like a little co-op style sort of thing. Not where I taught, but like there were teachers there, and it was like a little private thing. And he enjoyed that. I was still working full time then, so that was really convenient. It was close to me, close to my mom, who was my childcare at the time. So anyway, we have homeschooled him the entire time. And I get a lot of questions about unschooling. Sometimes I think I need to probably do more videos about that. Or just homeschooling in general. People are just curious about homeschooling, because if you're totally new to it, it's really scary. Like, what do you have to do? What are the requirements? Will the state come after me? You know, these are questions I get all the time. And no, they're not going to come after you. There's literally like 3 papers. So if you have questions about that and you live in Pennsylvania, I can help. If you don't live in Pennsylvania and you have just general homeschooling questions, I can't help you with the legal stuff, but I can help you with day-to-day things. Anyway, we eventually evolved after like 3rd grade into more of an unschool style of learning, but it was just like tears every day with workbooks and trying to like just read chapter books and things. And I learned about unschooling. We had to deschool, or me more so, had to deschool for, it probably took me a year because I was like super nerd. Like I was in AP classes, and like if everything wasn't like a 4.3, then I wasn't very happy with myself. And I generally just enjoyed school. I was in a ton of extracurriculars and sports and bands and like the whole deal. And so it was a big thing for me to de-school my mind and just figure out what unschooling was going to look like for us. But it was so worth it. And it has allowed Bud to really explore the things that he enjoys. You know, he is really, really into small engines. So him and Zad are actually today working on, there was a little kind of a barnish type building here, really big shed, barn, whatever you want to call it. That was here, kind of has like 3 sections. So like one section of it is for the pigeons. We have some rabbits in there, which they'll be moving. Our wood splitter setup is in there, and we store firewood in there. And then there's one section we have split off for Bud. So they're building him a workbench today, putting in a window because it was a little bit closed off and a little secluded, or, you know, it wasn't like a breeze, that kind of thing. So they're working on that today. So Bud is actively looking for, if you're local to us, actively looking for things like weed eaters and leaf blowers and mowers that are just like broken down and things. For now, he wants to just learn as much as he can about tearing them apart and putting them back together. Eventually, he would love to evolve his business. Okay, I have a very sad little Zuzu. Anyway, so he would love to evolve his business, Bud's Outfitters, into working on small engines. He started that business when he was 7. He started selling fire starters, which he still sells. He sells beeswax wraps. He does vinyl stickers. Lots of cool things that he does. I know, Zuzu's very sad. It's okay. It's okay. It's probably nap time. So that's where Bud is. A couple other things that Bud is loving right now. Him and Matt are doing, when Matt's home, they're going to hot yoga. So I think the temp of the room's like 98 degrees or something. It's pretty close to us. It's at a community center. Him and Matt enjoy doing that one night a week. That's been really cool. Which is so funny because I never saw Bud doing yoga, but he loves it. And that's what I'm talking about. Like things like Unschool, you know, it gave him an opportunity to go explore something like yoga, which he loves, and he feels good after he does it, and it's just really good. So he's loving that, loving engines. Obviously the things he's always loved: tractors, farming. My brother, who is like I don't really engineer, computer software person, I don't know. He does things in that realm, can build computers in his sleep, that sort of thing. So he helped him build a gaming computer, which Bud loves. And sometimes I'm like hesitant to talk about that because I feel like people are like, oh, you homestead, so your kid can't game or something. And like, I don't really limit his time for gaming necessarily. He's just kind of naturally respectful of our flow and like what needs done. So it's not like he hibernates in his room all day and plays games. You know, mostly he enjoys playing Farming Simulator. He plays this game, Snow Runner or something, where you like build these townships and like, I don't know. It's very like realistic type things. And he enjoys things like Minecraft and Fortnite, like most 14-year-old boys probably do, but he's very respectful of it. You know, if he gets up before everybody else, he'll game for a little bit in the morning. If we had a really long day and, you know, everybody was just go, at home, because we are almost never on the go outside of the house, you know, I'll try to be respectful of that and give him an hour or two in the evening. So he loves having that, and he loves 3D printing. He loves sublimation printing. Those are 2 things that he has in his room. Zad set up like a really nice kind of like desk space, office space for him in his room. And he's learning those. He's definitely not like proficient in them. It's something that he's trying to learn, which is cool. And another thing that, you know, Unschooling has really allowed us to do, because he can kind of explore those interests. And there's so many things online, Skillshare and YouTube and whatever, that he can use to keep learning those skills. So the other thing for Bud is he is going to join the local fire company. So Zad, my husband, he joined the fire company when he was, I think he was 14 or 15. I can't remember. So he was in a car accident with his dad and his brother when he was 14. His dad and his brother died. Zad survived, but he was like, his whole left side of his body was basically shattered. And at that point, he was very much motivated to join the fire company because obviously these people like help save his life. And Daddy has mixers right here. I was going to talk about those in a minute. Zuzu's showing you mixers. Yeah, Daddy fixes those. Yeah. So he is really excited to, Bud is very excited to join the fire company. Zad is already on the wildland fire, not really company, crew here. He was on that where we used to live too. He is actually now a warden for the county that we live in, which he's very excited about this. So Zad's gonna join that structure company with Bud. That's what's up with Bud and Matt. As far as, well, and the littles are great. So like I said, I'm 20 weeks. We're due in September. Zuzu is now 2, loves helping collect eggs and cook and bake with mommy and do all those things. Jamie, the same, has always loved being in the kitchen. And if you followed us for a while, you know that because they're usually in almost any video we're doing that we're baking or cooking or whatever. It's been really cool to watch them kind of learn farm chores. So they're really, you know, when we do farm chores after breakfast, everybody participates. You know, everybody has a chore. So like Bud does and I'm going to do a video about our new morning chore routine shortly. I meant to do it this morning and I totally forgot. So Bud takes care of the rabbits. We have meat rabbits. Zad takes care of the hogs and then starts on the goats. I take care of, with Zuzu and Jamie usually, take care of the chickens, guineas, and the ducks. Bud takes care of our ducklings at the moment because they're in the same camper as the bunnies. Not together, obviously. They're in their own separate places. And I can link the video to we converted a 1950s Holiday Rambler camper into like a 2-part kind of animal pen. So one side is like a small brooder and then the other side we have the rabbits in, so the duckies are in there. This is the first time that we've raised ducks from baby. So we hatched them out. We're broodering them in there. We only got 4, which I was really bummed about because they all looked really good in the incubator. They all had veins and everything looked really good, but whatever. I'll take 4. So the goal is I never want to have to buy ducklings or ever buy chicks. Again, I spent a lot of money on chicks last year and I had this big revelation that like, I bought a lot of like vanity chicks because I was like, oh, these are so cool. I haven't had these before. And a lot of them didn't make it. They just weren't that hardy. And you know, not to totally blame it on the chicks, you know, we were really kind of getting our structures in place and getting our systems in place. And so it's not like I wasn't to blame at all, but I spent a lot of money on that kind of stuff and I just don't need to. I have boys and girls of both chickens and ducks. There's just no reason for me to have to go buy those things when I have a really nice incubator that can do it for me. So our goal is, you know, this year we did raise some Cornish cross because we bought them at 7 weeks. We got a really great price on them. We wound up rounding out at about $3 a pound or so on chicken, which I thought was really great. We didn't grow them to like gigantic that they were just miserable. They were still very healthy looking. They could walk around. You know, if you've ever raised Cornish cross, you know that they can get so fat that they can barely move. And I just don't think that that's humane. So we are working on our meat duck situation. We got chicks in the incubator right now, so we can start hatching out chickens for meat. And I just want to get some more egg layers. I'm getting a dozen to a dozen and a half eggs right now. I have a fair amount of roosters. Our guineas are basically just there for noise. The ducks, occasionally I'll get a duck egg. So these ducks in here, I'll probably maybe keep this batch for eggs and then their babies for duck meat. We're just kind of getting these processes in place because the goal is that I always, and I talked about this in another video, I don't want to have to buy meat at all. I want all the meat to come from our backyard. It's cheaper. For the most part. I say that with a little nuance. I know where it came from. I know how they were treated, you know, in a SHTF situation. If we can feed them, we have meat. So that's the goal with the animals. Obviously, we have the meat goats. So the meat goats are, at least one of them is pregnant. They should both be pregnant. I'm not sure. If the one isn't, I have 2 boys, so they'll be pregnant eventually. We're milk sharing right now, which has worked out really well. Kind of had a very discouraging last kind of year with my dairy goats because I thought the one was bred, like I took her to go get bread, paid her to have her bred. She didn't get bred. And, you know, I got my money back and the farmer was so great about it. Like it wasn't, you know, these things happen, they're animals. But then she wound up dying and it was rough. And she was so sweet, but she had hypocalcemia and she often got milk fever. And so she was, I think, almost 9. And so it was sad. She was our first like goat that, well, we had one before her, but she was our first like really great goat. So anyway, I have her daughter now and she is just, I barely had to train her to the milk stand. Like she just went and it was great. So we're milk sharing with her. We're weaning, kind not weaning necessarily, but splitting them up at night so I can milk in the morning. They hang out together during the day, and then they're split up at night so I can get a good bit of milk in the morning. So I'm getting like a quart, which is, it's fine. I got usually a half gallon to 3/4 of a gallon from her mom. They're mini Alpines. But hey, a quart gives me 2 batches of soap. And if I milk her for a few months, that's a lot of soap. So I'm happy with that. It fits really well into our routine. And once we wean completely, I may be able to get more milk. So goats are going really well. Pigs. Pigs is sort of sad, and I don't really want to talk about it. We bought these 2 pigs with the impression they were pregnant. The one very, very much looked pregnant, and the other one was pretty far out, so it was a little bit harder to tell. We have a friend that came over. They raise hogs. He works on a hog farm in addition to that, and he's like, I don't think she's pregnant. And I'm like, she started to look like not very pregnant to me after we got her home. And maybe a newbie mistake. I don't know. We haven't worked that out yet. I'm working with the farmer friend that hooked me up with the other farmer to get that resolved. So hopefully we'll be having little piggies. I feel like we still, you know, it'll work out. It'll be fine. We'll get it resolved. I may seriously consider bringing a boy pig in because I have seriously had the best success having in-house breeding with my goats. Like I don't have to worry about transporting them and the stress of that and the mileage, you know, the fuel and all that, you know, diesel fuel's crazy. It's just easier to just have them here. And I haven't had, do you see Bud over here sneaking some delicious chocolate chip cookies? I have not had a poor experience with having boy goats. Everyone's like, oh, they're gonna stink and blah, blah. Your cookies on the counters though. They're gonna stink and, you know, whatever, make the milk all weird. And I haven't had that experience. My boys have been fine. I mean, you know, whatever. They're stinky, typical boy goats, but it's not like I walk up there and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is oppressive or anything.
They're no worse than chickens.
No, that's true. They're no worse than chickens. That's so true. So I will probably eventually bring in a boy pig and we'll just do in-house breeding and that'll just be how that goes. So, pigeons, update on pigeons. So something got into our pigeons, a fisher, a weasel. We're not totally sure what it was. Got all of them but one. It was very sad. We thought that shed was like pretty Fort Knoxed and apparently it wasn't. So the lady we got them from was so just kind and sweet about it. She wasn't, you know, I was like scared that she might be upset. And she's like, you know, these things happen. You do the best you can. So she took the one that was saved, that was fine, because she still has pigeons at home, so it would have some friends. So we're working on getting that pigeon coop back up to snuff so we can bring the pigeons back in and get some yummy squab on our plate at some point. So I think that covers everybody. So we got the birds, the goats, the hogs, the duckies, the rabbits, and the pigeons coming in soon. Obviously, my dairy cow dream is still on the table. We have the plan for the spot where it's going to go, but it's really just got to be, I talked about this in another video, how we're really working hard to pay the mortgage off before we take on like really big expensive projects. If the right situation comes along, we will get the dairy cow. But for now, we are just taking in stride. You know, we're finally feeling pretty settled here. Like house situation, really in good shape. So anyway, not going to take on any big projects until we take care of the mortgage. So for now, we're getting raw milk at a farmer that's about 30 minutes each way. So we go about every 2 weeks, get our milk, bring it home, do our thing. We get about 12 to 13 gallons every 2 weeks. So anyway, not going to take on any big projects until we take care of the mortgage. So for now, we're getting raw milk at a farmer that's about 30 minutes each way. So we go about every 2 weeks, get our milk, bring it home, do our thing. We get about 12 to 13 gallons every 2 weeks. So that's what's happening as far as animals go. We need to build a new rabbit cage. So we got these beagle cages for free. And Zad has a plan to like set them up that we can have this really awesome kind of rabbit situation. Because right now they're in 4 separate cages in one shed. And then there's some in the camper. And, you know, as far as like logistics of feeding, it works. It's easy. But once we get this new cage set up, we can like really get on breeding and get rabbit meat in the freezer, and Zad can start playing around with pelts and things like that. So we have that going on. We started cleaning Zad's shop up. We got the shop about half clean, which is great because Zad has that bay to work on whatever. And so once he gets his shop put together, you know, obviously we'll do a video about that, but he's going to set his leather shop up in there, we have some really cool things that we can do with leather once we get that stuff set up. We have some cool tools that we acquired and things like that. As far as soap goes, I have some new scents coming out for spring, some citrus scents. I'm going to be working with a local sheep farmer, so watch out for that. There'll be some cool stuff coming down the pike with that. I reworked my whipped tallow balm, so it's like super smooth, silky. It's amazing. If you are struggling with like dry skin at all, it is just fantastic and no crap. It's like tallow, olive oil, coconut oil, essential oils, and beeswax, and that's it. And it's pretty awesome stuff. So that's on our website at chapelforge.com. Oh, KitchenAids. I said I was going to talk about that. So KitchenAids have been, as you can see, like quite explosive. I think Zad and Matt did 10 on Saturday and Sunday, 10 total. So we're phasing into, we started by, well, how we got down this pike is I bought a KitchenAid for 50 bucks. It wasn't really working that well / at all. Zad fixed it. I posted on Facebook. Everybody wanted him to fix theirs, and voila, here we go. We do KitchenAid mixer repair now. But it's been cool. It's been a nice, you know, it's been a nice thing that Zad can do kind of just at the table in the house. He will be setting up a little shop within his leather shop where he can do these. But, you know, it's nice some days that, like, if it's a rainy day, he can work on mixers or whatever if we're not doing outside projects. So we're going to start, or we have several that we have either bought or acquired that were just totally broken or whatever, and he is refurbishing them, and then we'll be selling them, because if you know anything about KitchenAid mixers, you know that the new ones are really not that fantastic, and getting the older ones either repaired, re-greased. You should really get your KitchenAid mixer re-greased every 10 years under normal use, maybe more if you're like a heavy baker. So we're going to take those refurbished ones and resell them so that people can get good quality, well-made mixers, you know, over, let's say 20 years old or something, just because the new ones are not that fantastic. So that is pretty much what is going on with us. We continue to pray that everything is good with the baby. I mentioned in a video maybe 2-ish months ago that my progesterone was kind of low at the beginning. We assumed that this is perhaps what caused my miscarriages. Could have been a chromosome abnormality. We're not really sure. You know, it just is what it is. So we're hoping that everything, you know, I am growing. I'm starting to feel little flutters. I typically don't feel baby movement until I would say into the early 20s. With the last 3, that was pretty much the case. And of course I was panicked about that, thinking like, oh my gosh, everybody says they felt it at 16 weeks or something and I don't. Is something wrong? And it's always been fine. So we just continue to pray that everything is fine with baby. I see my midwife again here at the end of the month, and you know, Lord willing, we'll hear a heartbeat and everything will be great with that. So that is what is happening with us. Thanks for following along. If you have questions about anything that's going on here or videos you want me to do on certain things, let me know. We'll see you guys next time.